welcome to the Powder Room Show. I'm your host, LaShae De'Lana, and today we have a special guest, our own executive producer, Tekira. She will be joining us on the topic homeschooling. I had to ask her some questions because, you know, during that pandemic, I was going crazy with the homeschool. Anyway, let's get started and let's go see what she has to say. Hey girl!
Hey,
thanks for joining me on the Powder Room Show. This is Tekira. You guys know her as my producer or whatever, but I wanted her insight on homeschool because we all know how stressed I was in the beginning of the pandemic, and I wanted her to kind of help our viewers on the topic of homeschool.
Right.
So let's just get right into it.
Let's get to it.
So how do we even start? Like, where can we even start with homeschool?
Homeschool is such a scary topic and undertaking, it sounds like, you know what I mean? And so what I like to tell people, because I get a lot of, I've been homeschooling for 2 years, just a little background about myself. I've been homeschooling for 2 years. I have 2 kids. Micah is 7, he'll be in the 2nd grade this fall, and Anaya is 5, and she'll be in kindergarten. And so a lot of new parents now coming to homeschool are asking me, like, I don't even know where to start, like the very beginning. Okay. And the first thing I want to say is start early. As early as you can. Once you know you want to homeschool, get your mindset and start the process, because you don't want to wait until the school year starts in September and you're trying to scramble and get your stuff together and get materials together and all that stuff. So start early is number 1. Number 2, I will say get you a designated homeschool space.
As far as like inside of the home?
Inside of the home. I'm not saying you have to teach there every day, but have a space, maybe a little bookshelf or a little table or something that's like that you have all your materials in, that you have all your your coloring books, your curriculum, everything is all in that one space, so you don't lose anything. So you and your child knows where to go to get stuff. Are
you the kind of homeschool parent, though you have your designated space, like you still have the folders and the markers and the crayons and the paintbrushes? My bookshelf looks like it belongs in the school. Okay. Because I have everything together. Okay. I have a little container for markers. I have a little container for this. My kids know when they're looking, when I'm saying like, hey, go get your book from homeschool, they know exactly where to go to get it. Okay. So I say this, have a designated homeschool space. Sometimes people like to rearrange their furniture a little bit and kind of maybe move something off the way. So like, this is our little homeschool corner. Okay. If it's for no other reason, just to house your materials. Right. You know what I mean? So everybody in the family knows what that is. And I say do that early because I feel like that can be a little, well, to me it's a little more fun. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that you could start when you know you're like, where do we think we're going to homeschool? The dining room table? Do I want to buy them a little table? Just kind of, you know, take your time. Now, do you use that homeschool space every time you guys homeschool for the day? No. Or are you a little spontaneous where it's like, I want to switch it up some days? I'm comfortable enough now to be spontaneous. Okay. Because I've been doing it for a couple years. Okay. When I first started, okay, now this is what people always say, and I'm glad you mentioned that actually. People always say, you know, you don't have to mimic school. It's not school. You be as comfortable. You guys want to homeschool in your pajamas. You guys want to do it in, you know what I'm saying, in the kitchen, at the table, wherever you guys make it more comfortable for you. The way my mind and my brain is set up, I know school. I know public school. I don't know homeschool. So when I first started, mine mimicked public school first. So my kids had a little table. They got up, we ate breakfast, we got dressed, we sat at the table, we did our schoolwork. They had recess. I literally scheduled it like recess because serious. I was so serious. I knew I wasn't going to do that forever. But until I feel like I needed to start there in order to know where I can take the breaks to be comfortable. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I needed to start with what I knew. Right. I knew public school. I knew how to make a school day supposed to look. Right. I did that first, and then I realized, oh, okay, y'all, what do you guys want? Do you guys want to play first or do your homework first? Do your schoolwork? And then, you know, once you get comfortable. So start with what you know. If you know public school and you're like, okay, I don't know how to do this thing, start with what you know. And as you do it within a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, you'll become more lax and figure out what works for your family. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, right. That makes sense. I mean, that's what I did. So. Right. So now you're like, you're such an expert. It's like, oh, we in our pajamas today. We gonna go outside or whatever the case may be. Right. More comfortable. I know to homeschool on the go. I know to homeschool in the car. We can be anywhere, and I know how to get it done. But I didn't at first, so I start with what I do. Now, what advice can you give somebody who's never homeschooled or even considered homeschool who might feel overwhelmed, because I know during the pandemic, it was like we just was thrown to the wolves. It's like, what the heck is this?
I felt for so many people. Like, it was so, I felt for like my friends and you, like family members who were like, girl, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, ooh, yeah. What I say? I'm supposed to tell you, right. It was so much. Yeah. It was so much. I think now that a lot of people are deciding to homeschool fully, I'm not talking about homeschool like their teachers are still sending them curriculum and things to do throughout the day. A lot of people for the fall of 2020 have decided to forego public school systems at all. And they're going either charter or private homeschool. From what I'm looking at, I know that the charter school that my daughter was in previously, homeschool, they filled up on the very first day of registration and have over 1,400 kids on the wait list. Like, so people are going very serious about this because they don't want the anxiety of if the public school is going to open and it's not. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. So I feel like if you decided to like go homeschool and go hard for it, the first thing you have to do is give yourself some grace.
Girl, say that, because I don't know why for me, I felt like I needed to get it or I should know this. And I was just so frustrated with myself and I didn't allow myself any grace at all. I'm like, girl, you're grown. You should know how to teach a little 6-year-old. But I was like, oh no, this is some, it made me also like, this is some real stuff, but also it made me give more appreciation to teachers.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, this
because
is some real
if they
stuff.
have to go to school for it, how are we supposed to know just because we have kids?
Right.
Being your child's parent is teaching in a different way than sitting down being their teacher. You know what I'm saying? At least I think it is. I think it's layered. It's layers to that. So give yourself some grace and realize it's a lot that you don't know. And also, I think it's very important to tell yourself as well as your child, we're on this journey together. We're learning together. Mommy doesn't know everything about homeschool right away. I know this homeschool thing is new for you. So we're going to be partners and we're going to teach each other and learn together.
That's a good technique, because I think, and then too, you know how we say that our kids' frustration, they can feel that. Absolutely. So when they feel that you're frustrated and stressed out, it's going to kind of get on them to be frustrated and stressed out. But then once you allow that grace to come in and say, look, I don't know everything, and it kind of puts them in a place where it's like, okay, we are learning this together, and it kind of ease the stress on everybody.
And you ask them questions, just like you said, hey, how do you think mommy did at teaching? What's something that you would like to change?
Well, I don't know if I want to really know that.
First of all, Trey gonna let you have it.
Yes, that's why I'm like, I don't know if I want, but the kind of kid I have, I don't think I want to know that.
But it's good though, because then they also know, like I asked my son, I said, how do you think mommy is as a teacher? He said, I said, you can be completely honest with mommy. How do you think mommy did? He's like, mommy, sometimes you get a little frustrated. Ooh. And I do. I said, okay. So what are we going to do? Let's make a list of things that mommy can do when I get frustrated. What are some things that I tell you that I should probably do myself too? He's like, well, mommy, we could take a break, or you could just be more patient, or you could read a book. He's so old. Like my baby is such an old man trapped in a little body. Yes. But that's the way I teach him. So when I'm like, you know what? And by the end of the school year last year, I was telling him, mommy's a little frustrated today. I'm not having a great day. Let's take a break. He's like, okay, mommy, you take a break and we'll come back later. And we would and do better. But I love that because it taught him how to say to me, mommy, I'm frustrated right now.
Can we take a break?
Can we take a break? And I have to honor that and respect that, like I want him to do for me. So it's a learning process together. And another thing I want to say for overwhelmed parents, and this is also after you start early, you do your find your designated homeschool space, join a support group. A support group. And so it's so hard for parents to get together now because of the social distancing and everything that's going on. But Facebook groups, homeschool Facebook groups are the business.
Really?
Are the business, honey. So as soon as you're like, okay, I'm going to homeschool, what's some homeschool groups in your area? Look on Facebook. There's some that are more formal, like with email lists and have their own private like situations. I'm kind of with the general Facebook group, the closed groups. From Southern California to Homeschool Moms of Los Angeles to my son's homeschool charter school has their own Facebook group. I'm like in 3 or 4 of them. And the reason why is because you have parents there who are new like you, you know what I'm saying, you guys are both like, oh my God, my son is in starting 3rd grade and I'm new, and they're like, oh, me too. And that's somebody that you can start connect with. You also have parents who are seasoned veterans. You have people in homeschool groups whose kids are already grown and in college, but they're still there able to give advice. Right. So the first place you go, when I have a question, like, okay, I haven't done curriculum before. I'm going to buy curriculum this year for my son who's going to the 2nd grade. There's so much out there. Like if you Google curriculum to buy for your kid, you're like, oh, where do I even start? Go to the Facebook group. Like, hey guys, my kid is in 2nd grade. What curriculum would you recommend? Because they're going to recommend something that they've already tried. And you would trust that before just kind of blindly going in, like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Take the first 4 or 5 that they give you, and then you'll have people jump on and say, yes, I love this one. So if you have about 10 people in a Facebook group that you know saying the same thing, you're like, okay, well, let me look at that one first and let me try it. It just helps you to narrow stuff down, and you can get advice from people who've experienced it, who are seasoned in it. So that, I think that's a huge thing. If you're feeling overwhelmed, join a group, find a group, Google them, go on Facebook, on Instagram, and start connecting with other parents to build that virtual community. Right. Already.
And speaking of virtual community, because nowadays that's what life is about. You know,
absolutely.
Everything is on Zoom and Facebook or Live or whatever. So everything is digital. And it seems like now that's where they're shifting the school, where I think it's going to be, like for my son's school in his district, they're leaning towards more of part-time on campus and then part-time virtually. And I actually like that because, okay, so do you suggest or have any suggestions on anybody on social media as far as homeschooling? Like, because you know, social media is like the go-to for everything now. Right. So what suggestions do you have for social media for homeschool?
You know what, there's nobody I follow in particular. Like, I don't follow just one person. There's nobody that stands out in my mind to say, oh, follow this person for sure. They have great stuff, because there's so much out there. I would say the #1 social app to get for homeschool ideas is Pinterest.
I love Pinterest.
Pinterest is the bomb. You look up, you know, arts and crafts.
It's like the Amazon on social media.
Yes, it's the great place to have stuff. You know what I'm saying? To find even just ideas like for crafts for certain topics, for even curriculum or how to do certain things, or bullet points of, so my child is about to be 8, what should they know by now? You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to go with in the standards and stuff, that's a whole different show, because that's a whole thing. But it's just a great tool and access and resource that I would say you definitely use Pinterest.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Naturally Kira, for joining us and giving us some pointers on homeschool. And hopefully we're going to ask our viewers to kind of give comments on the suggestions that she gave, and then if you have any concerns, maybe you can come and talk to us again about some questions that our supporters have.
Absolutely.
And you guys, we just love you. We thank you for coming out and watching the show today. And remember, every day you wake up, you have an opportunity to fulfill your purpose, so make those days count. See you guys next week.
Bye. Whenever you're ready.
What we doing? Oh, okay. And let's see.
Yep.
Hey guys, yes, thank you. I love you. Welcome to season 3. Today's episode is about homeschooling, and I had to ask our executive producer, Naturally Kira, to come and join us at the chair. No, that's not right. Let's not start this. We almost done. Are you ready?
Yep.
Oh. So I'm gonna do a timer. I'm gonna do a stopwatch so that we can know how long we been going. Okay. Perfect. So then we can do the opening.